Hey guys, back with another video. I wanted to do just a quick video today about what is the Matrix, because I've had several discussions recently and I think, this term is thrown around quite a bit, especially by me and some other people who I follow. And I think a lot of people don't really know what we mean when we say the Matrix. So basically, the Matrix, for the purpose that we're using it for, simply means the system of ideas, beliefs, and institutions that have been put in place in our society to create a false sense of reality. So, and I know I always use this as an example, but the pandemic is a prime example of how the Matrix created a false sense of reality. They told everybody that this virus had a death rate of 5 to 10%, when lo and behold, the death rate is 0.25%. And, they told everybody to stay locked in their houses for their own good. They told everybody to shut their businesses for their own good. They told everybody to wear a mask for their own good. They told everybody to take a shot for their own good. Lo and behold, 2.5, 3 years later now, we're seeing that a lot of the things that everyone was told were not true. So, again, it was a system of ideas, beliefs, and institutions which instilled a false sense of reality in the people living within that system. So that's what the Matrix is. And it's not just during the pandemic. Ever since society has existed, there's been a Matrix to some degree or another. And when I say institutions, it can mean institutions of learning, educational systems, schools, colleges, higher educational institutions. Can also be, institutions such as the CDC or the WHO, for example. So I hope that kind of better explains what the Matrix is. It's also, for example, can be the ideas and beliefs that our parents and teachers instilled in us. I was giving my friends an example of like a false idea that was created by the Matrix that we grew up in. And I think I mentioned this in some of my other videos, but in the society that I grew up in Edgemont, New York, there was an underlying idea that existed. It wasn't widely discussed, but everybody was aware of this, which was that you needed to go to school and you needed to go to a good college and graduate school, etc., so that you could become either a lawyer, doctor, investment banker, or something very closely related to one of those fields. Something similar, aka something where you're going to make a lot of money. And if you didn't become one of those things, then in essence you were a failure in the mind of that Matrix. So this is a false sense of reality that was instilled upon us, because that notion is not true, and that notion is actually quite damaging for people who don't fit that mold. So I hope that's a good explanation for the Matrix. If anybody has any questions, please comment in the comment section below and I can make another video to elaborate a little bit more. The other thing that I wanted to do in this video is to just talk about why I'm doing these videos, because I think a lot of people probably are not quite sure why I'm doing these videos. They think that I'm just kind of out there, conspiracy theorist, what have you, ranting and raving on here. The reason why I'm doing these videos is because I'm sick of society's bullshit. And there's so many of these false narratives that exist within our society that are very damaging to the people within that society. And, I've felt these kind of false ideas since I was a fairly young child, but I wasn't able to kind of articulate these ideas until very recently. And so I believe that we're living in a society that has almost a very low moral foundation, often instills these kind of false ideas and beliefs into people that can be quite damaging and can lead in certain instances to death for some of those individuals who are negatively affected by these false ideas. And so, I think people think that we live in an advanced civilization, and we don't. We have a long, long way to go until we reach a point where we can consider ourselves an advanced civilization. And this is another one of these kind of grand misconceptions, if you will. I think most people who are living in our society think that we live in an advanced civilization. We are very, very far from being in an advanced civilization, especially when it comes to our moral compass. That's why you have police in the United States, for example, killing innocent people. I just saw a video. It's just unbelievable. 2 police officers shot and killed a homeless man who was in a wheelchair. He was a double amputee from the knees down. So this guy had a knife, but he's literally running away from the police officers. He doesn't even have 2 legs to run away on. And they shoot and kill him because they said they were scared that he was going to throw the knife at him. And our society allows for that type of behavior to go on. So if you think that, that type of behavior is allowed, and that at the same time we're in an advanced civilization with, a strong moral compass, I'm sorry, but you're mistaken. Our entire society needs to be revamped. And that's why, police officers are allowed to kill innocent people. That's why all of the corruption from the pandemic existed. That's why we put innocent people in jail for 20, 30 years or for the rest of their life. There's a lot of things that we need to work on. And, a lot of people will probably say, well, you're not going to change it by making these videos. But you know what? That's not entirely true, because, we can't change the world, me, myself, I can't change the world, but we can't underestimate the power of planting seeds, because I plant some of these seeds in people's mind, and they tell, that little seed to somebody else. They tell that little piece of information, that little piece of wisdom to somebody else, and they tell it to somebody else and somebody else. And you have no idea how powerful that can be. This was something that I was struggling a lot with, again, during the pandemic. I was arguing with my mother and specifically with my father, because my father and I like to go at it, especially with politics, because we don't see eye to eye on a lot of stuff. And he kept saying to me, you don't have the power to change it. And that was so frustrating to me, because I didn't believe that was true. And then something happened that showed me that I do have power. And what happened was, one of the things that drove me insane during the pandemic was the masks. Because I know I made a whole video about the masks, because the costs were never weighed against the benefits. So something happened where I was actually dating this girl who's a dancer, and she's like a performing artist. She was doing like a traditional dance, and her colleagues were performing in Bryant Park. And it was an outdoor venue. And this was like during the height of the pandemic. And they said anybody who attended this event had to, 1, be vaccinated, and 2, had to wear a mask, even though it was outdoors, which is just beyond idiotic. So I said, and she told me that, her and the other dancers were going to have to wear masks on stage. And I said, why? That's so stupid. You guys are like 50 feet from the audience, at least. It's outdoors. Why do you need a mask? So she went to the event coordinator and expressed these feelings. And I also said it's going to negatively impact the show, because now the audience can't see your face. They can't see your facial expressions. And that's part of, whether people realize that or not, interacting with the audience and the audience being able to see the performers' faces is a very important part of the entire experience. So anyhow, she went to the event coordinator and said, why do we have to wear masks? We're outside. We're at, a distance of at least 50 feet from the audience. So the event coordinator agreed, and then the dancers didn't have to wear masks. And that was all because I told her to say something. So that showed me, and it should show all of us, that we do have power to change things in our world if we don't like them. And if we just accept it and say, well, I don't have the power to do it, well, then we're weakening ourselves, you know? There's a famous quote, and I forget who said it, but they said, the most common way that people lose power is believing that they don't have any. So I'm here to tell everybody that you do have power to change these things in our world that need to be changed, that desperately need to be changed. And that's why I'm making these videos. So, you know, if people think that it's stupid, they think it's funny, they think I'm just wasting my time, I'm sorry, that's not true, because we all have a lot more power than we realize, and we need to use it to help better our world. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I will see you guys again soon.